Now, in terms of how the defense played last week, you played well for pretty much 3.5 quarters. How do you guys make sure you carry that into a full 4 quarters?
We just got to be mentally disciplined. We got to keep our offense in a position to win the game, and we didn't do a good job of that last week. Hopefully we change that this week.
What are some things you feel like you guys can build on? I mean, again, you were successful for most of the game. What are some positives?
Positives, we stopped the run game for the most part. Pass game, I'd say we were in the right spots. We just got to keep it up all game. I think that's the biggest step we need to make.
Can you talk about your defensive backfield? They held Herbert to about 140 yards, I believe. How good did they play in your mind?
They played amazing. They've been working so hard this offseason, and I think it paid off, and I think it's going to continue to pay off.
And lastly, you and Robert had a great game as well. How does it feel playing or knowing that your brother next to you is playing a good game? You guys are feeding off each other.
Rob's a dog, man, and he makes my life easier, and I appreciate him.
What kind of unique challenges, obviously, does Lamar Jackson bring to as a playing a linebacker in this league to go against him?
Probably one of the most dynamic players in the game right now. He's just like another guy you have to worry about on the field. All 11 have to worry about him, so we just got to be aware of him and just make sure we try to keep him in the pocket.
A lot of times guys say just play my game, like I'm just going to play my game, but against him, like it is a totally different than most quarterbacks, right?
Sure,
so
sure.
do you have to play to his game when you're playing?
I say respect him, play our game, but make sure we're alert. That's all I have to say. Just be aware of him. You obviously got to switch it up, but we got to play our game at the end of the day.
It's like, I know it's a hard question, but like if you're in coverage, right, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, what, he's running? Like, how are you supposed to maintain?
Honestly,
knowing him?
I trust my D-line to keep him in there. I trust my D-line to keep him in there, so I ain't worried about it. Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Got to be able to stay level-headed.
Yeah, for sure.
Start there. Like, how tough was it to play the game knowing what's going on back home?
It wasn't that hard because I had a great support staff here that was able to help keep me updated, as well as make sure that they're bringing the right energy to keep me game day ready, but at the same time know that they're gonna give me the updates and make sure that everything's going well. But also, my wife, just being as strong as she is, she, was holding it down. She was giving me the encouragement to just go play ball and don't worry about anything. It's going to be fine. And so, yeah, it was a true blessing for me to be able to make it back in time.
I guess, how were you communicating during the game? Or was it like, hey, once the game starts, put the phone away, like, don't tell anybody?
It was one of those things with our ops up front. They were able to stay in constant communication back and forth with my wife and just kind of get the updates as they were going. And, they just gave me updates as needed. Definitely not one of those things where like, hey, you got an update, hey, you got an update, but just kind of like, when the contractions were getting a little stronger, it was mainly just like between like going into halftime, coming out of halftime, getting the car situation set up for like, hey, when we land, we're gonna have a car ready for you to get to the hospital. So yeah, it wasn't stressful or anything that was taking the game off my mind at all.
Was there a chance you would have to leave?
No. I mean, we had discussed it way before too, just understanding the timing of it and when the due date was supposed to fall. He was supposed to come next week, so we had an induction actually scheduled for yesterday. Okay. This is an off day. It was going to make sense, and he beat us to the punch. Yeah.
I guess how long before the game did you find out, like, oh, it's happening?
3 a.m.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I woke up, needed to use the restroom in the middle of the night, and I saw a text, and my wife said that she didn't know if her water had broke or not, and got confirmation later. She just went to the hospital right away, and yeah, so it was a long day. Sunday was a long day, but it was beautiful.
So as you're hurdling on the way to the end zone, I mean, is any of that in your mind at all? Are you able to just compartmentalize?
No, honestly, it was one of those things where like I forgot in a moment where like I got to the sideline, drive goes by, next drive, I'm like, oh snap! I go talk to equipment guy John. I'm like, hey, did you get my ball? That touchdown ball's for my son. Like he's coming today, so they did a great job and saved the ball for me. But yeah, it was one of those things where like snuck back in my head and popped out in the moment. But yeah, it was a great day.
Alexander, Antonio Pierce talked about the running game being something that you guys want to hang your hat on for this offense. Didn't necessarily happen to your expectations, I'm sure, on Sunday. How excited are you guys to get back out on the field to take care of business?
Oh, extremely excited. I mean, we know that we didn't get to showcase exactly what we wanted in the run game, but we believe in what we have. We know what we're capable of doing, so we want to make sure that we go out there and try and execute that every Sunday. So this will be another chance for us to prove that, another chance for us to make up for, you know, that lost time, that lost momentum that we didn't come out with necessarily in the first game.
Maybe responsibility might not be the right word, but how much of a responsibility do you guys feel to be a reliable part of the offense?
Huge. I mean, we talk about it all the time in running back room that we want to be the legs of this football team. As we go, you know, they go. So I want to make sure that we take that wholeheartedly with every carry, with every touch, with every protection rep that we have. We're trying to be the legs of this football team.
I remember you talking in training camp about how you felt so comfortable with the offense because of your familiarity with it. Does that come across once you're finally out there in a game? Did you feel comfortable out there with all that?
Yeah, definitely. And then, you know, being around these guys, being around some great big old linemen, you know, my guy Thayer, of course, up front, my locker buddy, Colton, Cody, you know, those guys, Andre, you know, just big guys out there just getting after it, Dylan. Just being comfortable behind that type of offensive line allows you to just sit back and just get back to the drawing board, the fundamentals, and like you said, being in this offense before, this type of offense, understanding the leverage of plays, understanding the check down part of plays that are going to open up versus cover 2 versus cover 3. Like, I have a different understanding from, you know, previous years being involved in an offense like this, so it helped me out. I mean, just that play, I understood he's going to come to me for this ball, so I made sure that I was ready, made sure I knew how far that defender was going to be, and just like I thought in my head, you know, he checked all his progressions and checked it down to me. So just kind of being understanding, being ready for situations, understanding that is definitely helpful.
Having a full week this time as opposed to last week, how much of a difference that make?
Definitely makes a huge difference. I mean, there are always just small things in the game, just nuances and just things that the average eye might not see, but to us, I mean, it could be the difference between a touchdown and a 5-yard stop. So just getting able to work through those and communicate with the guys throughout the week makes a huge difference.
You mentioned the penalty. What else do you want to work on? Where do you feel like you can make strides to really make a difference this year?
Definitely just being more productive in my pass rush, trying to affect the quarterback more, and just in the run game, just squeezing down spaces and just getting off blocks and making more plays.
I know you've been on a couple teams with different teams. So what was it about here where it really started to sink in? Like you said, you felt like you were ready to make an impact.
I definitely think I've picked up and learned a couple things everywhere I've been. And so I feel like here I've really had coaches that have believed in me and I had an opportunity. And from there, I mean, like the culture in the D-line room here is great. Everyone supports one another. It's not like haves and have-nots. It's definitely like we're all just one room. And so just kind of that confidence and that faith and the opportunity really has given me the chance that I've had now.
What's it like working with Max?
I mean, it's great. Max is one thing I really appreciate about Max is, you know, I've worked with, you know, I played with on the Bears with Khalil Mack, and I've been with Shaq Barrett in the Bucks, but and they were great guys. But Max is truly like one of the guys. He leads from the front. He's the first one in, last one out every single day. And I mean, so just seeing what it requires to be great, just having it right in front of you, it's great to just have that right in front of you and just emulate it.
How different is it preparing for Lamar Jackson as opposed to like a regular quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. He's obviously a dynamic player, a true dual threat quarterback. And so it's just a matter of understanding how we got to rush, got to cage him in the pocket, and just always being aware that on any given play, it can go a long way. So just preparing for that and just making sure you're doing your job at a high level.
Is that just, it's like reminding yourself like, oh, I've got to pass the quarterback, wait, I shouldn't go too far at him.
Yeah, exactly. Just a lot more going through than going around.
How much of the game plan, like when you're discussing the Ravens, how often are you talking about him? Every day?
Yeah, often. I mean, the quarterback's the most important player, the only player on the field who touches the ball every single play. And so, you know, when your best player is your quarterback, it does a lot for your team. And so just preparing for that and just understanding who he is as a player and his strengths and his weaknesses as well, and just making sure we're doing our best to exploit him.
You have to prepare your mindset almost like he's going to get us at some point. Like at some point, he's going to get us for a play. Like just bouncing back on the next play.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, understanding he's a great player. I mean, they're a great team, and you know, other teams are going to make plays. Just the same way when we make a great play, we can't get too high, can't celebrate. We have to understand that we're going to focus on the next play, and so it's the same thing when you have a bad play.
Thanks, man.